Peace, peace, peace. Bruva Bridge Body Bag Sun Moon. About to get into it today. Astrology and Magic. I'm saying before we even get started, I want to give a shout out to Brother Polite. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people got a lot of shit to say about, you know what I'm saying, this individual, whatever, but you know what I'm saying, that's neither here nor there. I don't really deal with all that. You know what I'm saying? But I could say that, you know what I'm saying, this individual he shed some light on some things for me earlier today when he said that the woman is a greater manifester than the man. He explained it metaphysically. He explained that Fe on the periodic table is iron. So as soon as he said that, I said, oh, female. Okay. So from what I know about the concept of what is Lucifer, you know what I'm saying, Lucifer, the light bringer, but Lucifer also means he who is made of iron. You know what I'm saying, he who has a will of iron, because Lucifer represents the spirit. You know what I'm saying, the uncreated fire. You know what I'm saying? The fire or the divine spark from the uncreated realm. So Lucifer is also Jesus. Lucifer is also Rudra. Okay. Now, so Fe is iron. So the male who is made of iron, the female, because Fe is iron on the periodic table. Okay. So the womb man is he who is made of iron, which could loosely be referred to as Lucifer, which would explain the whole concept of, you know I'm saying, the snake and you know, Adam and Eve being evil and wicked and all that. But that's all bullshit. So Brother Bobby Hemmett mentioned also in numerous lectures that the new Aeon will be marked by a new Messiah, and this new Messiah will be the woman. So when he said that, I was like, okay, I mean, all right. I'm not one to debate, argue, convince. And I'm saying that's not what I'm here for. It's like, all right, every truth is a half truth. So if that's what somebody's truth is, cool. Like, you know what I'm saying, I'll try to like wrap my brain around it. So when Brother Bobby said something about this, I was like, well, it could be. So listening to Brother Polite, he said that, okay, iron. Fe is iron on the periodic table. We know that our blood contains a lot of iron. Women bleed every month, so they need more iron than men, and their blood contains more iron than men. So then he also went on to explain how, you know, in manifesting your frequency, all right, because we talking about the heart. I'm saying the heart, your frequency attracts, okay, because when you die, you place your heart on the, in Egyptian mythology, when you die, your heart is weighed on the scales of Ma'at against the feather. So if you're full of guilt and sorrow and regret and all these things, then your heart is heavy. So that's the frequency that you're tuned in on. So if you're on that frequency, okay, these are the things that you attract to yourself. Now let's look at this metaphysically, because the heart has the highest electromagnetic signature in the body, even more than the brain. There's a lot of electrical activity going on from the heart. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the most electromagnetic activity in the body. Now, if this electromagnetic motor is pumping blood that contains a lot of iron, it's actually creating a circuit, but it's a conductor. Okay? It's a conductor. So it's attracting, you know what I'm saying, by pushing this iron, okay, through this circuit, it's actually attracting or repelling. If you're attracting hate, then you're repelling love. Okay? So it's gonna attract what your frequency is. You know what I'm saying? Because, and he also says some fly shit. You're either manifesting or you're a man infesting. I thought that was pretty fucking fly. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's the whole concept of how, you know, metaphysically, how, you know, he was actually saying that the woman is the greater manifester because she's woman. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I just tied that into how, you know, Brother Bobby said that the Messiah would be a woman in the new eon. So this is also displayed how woman is a greater manifester because she actually gives life. No male can give life. All right. Yeah. That makes her the greater receptor and generator because she received the semen and then she generates life, as well as she could receive your light and give you the, if your woman loves you, your life is pretty, it's like heaven. She's gonna, you know what I'm saying? Heaven lies at the foot of the woman. So if your woman loves you, your life is pretty good. Things that come into your life, you know what I'm saying? Who could complain? But then again, if she hates you, the things that she can manifest and the things that will come to you is kind of, you know, if you look at it like that. I know it varies, but you could see the truth in that statement right there. Yeah. But not to get sidetracked, let's go ahead and get into this. Astrology and magic. Okay, so astrology has been described as the science of the stars. So we're reading from The Magician, by the way. Y'all go ahead and head over to abodasunmoon.com and download that PDF. And I'm saying, if you haven't already, there's a couple other PDFs, and there will be more up there soon. But y'all could go ahead and check this out so we could read along. Astrology has been described as the science of the stars by some and as superstitious bunkum by others. What is the truth about astrology? Does it really work? Do the planets really rule our lives? Or is it the critics, or is it, as the critics imply, simply superstition? Those who oppose astrology do so out of fear or ignorance. They refuse to look intelligently. They quote many instances of how astrology has failed, or they give evidence of supposed scientific fact that conclusively proves that astrology really does not work. My answer to the critics is simply this: when you have studied the subject with an open mind, then and only then are you in a position to criticize. To those who believe avidly, I would also say question those beliefs before you accept them as facts. Then and only then will you also know the truth of the matter. Astrology does work because it is a science, but like any science, it must be approached and used in the light of reason and common sense. Let us look now at astrology, how it works, why it works, and what it can do in today's world of magic. Astrology uses a combination of symbology and mathematics. Often these are confused, or one is given precedence over the other. The sum total of this is embodied in the birth chart, which is a symbolic map of the heavens at a given point of time. So what use could this possibly be? Well, given that at any point of time there will exist a unique pattern of energies, and because the influence of those energies will have an overall consciousness attached to them, then every point in time means something. It won't get no plainer than that. As the Chinese say, all is change. So it is. Nothing stays the same from one second to the next. The only thing that stays the same is the concept of now. It's always now. And I'm saying, but that's the same concept of chaos. And I'm saying that when you're able to conceptualize or perceive the whole concept of now, it is always now. So if I'm always grateful now, if I'm always content now, then this is perpetually my reality. This is my infinity. I'm saying whatever it is that I'm tuned into now. I'm saying, and you can change that at any time. Boom, boom, boom. I'm saying that's the actual when you're thinking about that, we actually talking about the black dot. And I'm saying, or the absolute nothing. Always living in the presence. And I'm saying, there's no need to think about the past or the future. And I'm saying, because the present is the gift. The whole concept of the black dot. You know what I'm saying? At every point in time, no matter where this may be, something begins to exist and continues thereafter to have an effect in this world. See, when we talk about the concept of the black dot, we're talking about when you drop a pebble in water, you see the ripples. Those ripples go on, and they go on. But it started from that one pebble dropping into the surface and creating a ripple effect. It's the same thing. The black dot, you know what I'm saying, before it had a thought, or before it said om, or before it did anything, it was just, it just was. And then something happened, and whatever happened was those ripples, and those ripples became what we see today. Perhaps this is best illustrated by a simple example. If I had lived on this planet during Roman times, everything that I did then would have some effect on the present. This may sound silly, but I had disturbed a grain of sand in a different way on some far distant shore. This would have changed the course of history. Perhaps not significantly, but nevertheless, the future would have been altered. See, that's the butterfly effect. You know what I'm saying? That's the butterfly effect that we're talking about also. You know what I'm saying? And that whole butterfly effect, we're talking about the this sphenoid bone that sits behind the two eyes where the pituitary gland sits, how it's shaped like a butterfly. So that whole movie Butterfly Effect, and even what we're talking about now, has a lot to do with this. It has a lot to do with our mental, with the way what's going on inside of our heads. Okay. All right. On a larger scale, if I had spared the life of an adversary instead of killing him or her, things might have been completely different. This is hypothetical, but it does illustrate that any point in time is significant because our actions shape the future. A cycle of events must then proceed from any point in time. In our lives, we look at the obvious point of importance, the time of birth. First, we must establish this accurately because, as stated, nothing stays the same even for a second. This is one reason why astrology can so easily be wrong. Not because of the astrologer, but because birth times are simply guessed or estimated. Accuracy is essential. I should mention that there are techniques that allow for unknown and approximate birth times to be rectified, and providing the astrologer knows that the time is approximate, these techniques can be used. The birth chart, therefore, becomes a symbolic representation of an important point in time that is directly related to a human being. It embodies the types of cosmic energies flowing at that time and gives indications of the consciousness that exists within these tides, a consciousness that will play an important part in the life of the person born at this moment. Here we are dealing with the beginning of a creative cycle embodied in the life of a human being. What began at this point in time will now have an effect on the future. Let us now look at the composition of a birth chart. By calculation, we arrive at the positions of the planet at a given time. In addition, allowances are made for location, alteration of clock time, curvature of the earth, and so on, until we have a symbolic picture of the heavens and how they relate to a place on earth at a point in time. The birth chart is divided into three main areas: the zodiac, the planets, and the houses. First, the zodiac. Do remember that this has nothing whatsoever to do with the constellations. The constellations are given names to The constellations are names given to groups of stars, whereas the zodiac is purely symbolic. The constellations are of unequal length, and while they may be important in astronomy, they are of no use to astrologers. The zodiac is a symbolic division of the heavens into 12 equal parts, or signs as they are known. Each is given a name, such as Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and so on. These become modes of action through which the planets act. For instance, the Aryan mode would be one of assertiveness, directness, enterprise, while the Libran mode would equate to harmony, justice, and balance. It is interesting to note how the zodiac is divided into groups of 3 and 4. The threefold division brings together signs belonging to the same element. For instance, there are 3 air signs: Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Likewise, other 3 elements of fire, water, and earth are similarly represented. There is also the grouping together of signs under the fourfold division known as the quadruplicities. These are cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Any one sign will belong to an element and a quadruplicity. For instance, Cancer belongs to water and is cardinal, while Virgo belongs to earth and is mutable. These additional groupings help with interpretation and in the understanding of the nature of the sign. Okay, so then we have a chart here that I'm going to share with y'all. Boom. The triplicities and quadruplicities of the zodiac. So as we can see, fire signs, earth signs, air signs, and water signs. Okay, so those are the triplicities of the zodiac. And now we have the quadruplicities. Okay, so the cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. The fixed signs, see those? And the mutable signs. All right. Okay. Let's go. It says, a sign by itself has no power. This properly belongs to the planets. Signs are modes of action, ways in which power is channeled. Perhaps the best way to look at this is to regard each sign as a symbolic window through which light may pass. The sign is the window, the planet is the light. Obviously, any one planet will have a different effect in each sign. Mars, the planet of energy and drive, will express itself assertively and strongly in a fire sign, such as Aries, but will have more emotional overtones in a water sign, such as Cancer. The sign, therefore, modifies the energy of the planet and gives it a particular direction or channel along which to flow. The planets are symbolic indicators of power. They do not in themselves have the slightest effect on human life. regardless of whatever less informed people care to say. While it is necessary to calculate the exact position of the planets in the heavens in order to discover how energy is flowing, it is important not to take this too literally. A planet may well be found in, say, the sign of Capricorn, but it is not the planet that causes power to flow. It simply indicates how the energy is flowing by its position and type. In order to understand the whole, we often have to break it down into manageable units. So it is with cosmic energy. We divide this into specific categories under the headings of the planets. Therefore, that particular power which is responsible for expansion, luck, opportunity, and wealth is symbolized by the planet Jupiter. Jupiter itself does not cause luck, but its position in the charts gives positive indications as to a person's wealth potential. Anyone with an open mind can prove this. Find the position of Jupiter in your own birth chart, as this planet is the symbolic indicator of wealth. By studying the sign in which it lies, you will be able to see how wealth is or is not to manifest in your life. As an example, Jupiter in the earthly and possessive sign of Taurus will bring in wealth through practical and cautious ways of gradual acquisition. Jupiter in Sagittarius tends to bring in wealth through travel and higher education. Of course, there are other considerations, but nevertheless, this will be true in a general sense. The relationship between planet and sign is important, for one modifies the other. The relative position of the planets to each other is measured and considered. The angles between planets are known as aspects. Not all angles are important, and in astrology, these are narrowed to a relative few. Each angle carries with it an interpretation, just like an angel does, which has a direct bearing on the total effect of the planets. Briefly, there are two kinds of aspects, usually known as good and bad. I think that this terminology is not particularly accurate because it implies fate and tends to give the wrong impression. So I shall use the word difficult. A difficult aspect due to a variety of factors incline an individual toward the wrong use of energy. A good aspect will tend to do the reverse. While this inclination cannot be denied, it must always be remembered that there is no compulsion in cosmic law. We always have free choice. If a planet has one or more difficult aspects, the likelihood of problems is high. But this can always be reversed by intelligent self-searching, by shedding of bad habits, and by the use of creative and positive thinking. The stars never compel, they merely incline. Going back to our example of Jupiter and wealth once more, the aspects to this planet will also indicate how wealth potential is likely to be affected, and incidentally tell us how we make better use of our potential or rid ourselves of problems in this area. Suppose that Jupiter had a difficult aspect to Venus. Venus is in one respect the planet of money. Putting together the wealth potential of Jupiter with the ability to attract money as indicated by Venus, we could say that the individual with this aspect would be pleased with abundance. What the difficult aspect will bring in is some of the more negative possibilities. One of these being that of wastefulness or allowing money making opportunities to slip through the person's fingers. The potential is there, but due to aspectation, this may well not be fully realized. The beautiful thing about the cosmos is that once the problem is realized, then the so-called difficult aspect begins to work beneficially. Difficult aspect simply means that there is something to be learned. Your understanding is only as great as your suffering. You know what I'm saying? So the difficulties that they're talking about, as it just said, it simply means that there's something to be learned. So it's best, you know what I'm saying, to learn this astrology for yourself so that you can, when you're looking at the cosmos, you're looking at what's going on inside of your skull. You know what I'm saying? So if you really want to get in touch with yourself and know who you really are, you know what I'm saying, all your strengths and weaknesses from a cosmic point of view, you know what I'm saying, you really got to get into this astrology, you know what I'm saying, for yourself. And you know what I'm saying, everything else is just like falls into place. You know what I'm saying? The tarot, major arcana, minor arcana. You know what I'm saying, when we talk about the major arcana, we talking about the cosmos in the universe. The minor arcana is man, which is the mini cosmos. You know what I'm saying? Because as above, so below, we are the cosmos walking around on earth. You know what I'm saying? The arcana, you know what I'm saying, shout out to Dr. Ali Melbay. The arcana is talking about the arc from the top of your head. You know what I'm saying? And what's going on underneath it. That's the arc. You know what I'm saying? Arcana or arc also refers to the astral plane. The final area of the birth chart is the all-important houses. Again, these are symbolic divisions of life into 12 distinct areas. The houses equate to the direct effects on life. As an example, the first house rules or governs. I read the book Ramtha, and it touched lightly on this. It said how you could say that shamanistic tribes or tribal magic, they issued forth from the house of emotional understanding. And all imperial systems, okay, so the house of emotional understanding, okay, and the souls that issued forth from that house, that would be the Lemurians. And the house of progress, or the house of all imperial systems, that would be the house of progress, and that would be the Atlanteans. Saying, which in the previous video we explained that the Atlanteans are really the Ethiopians, and I'm saying, or the Cushites, and the Lemurians were all the other indigenous tribes or nations on this plane that didn't follow, or they weren't under an imperial system, an imperial monarchy, or an imperial magical system. They were more in tune with Mother Earth and Mother Nature. Okay. I should add that so strong is the influence of the first house, it often takes precedence over a person's sun sign. The latter governs our inner drives, while the first house governs more outward expression. Likewise, the second house rules earnings and possessions. The third house, our ability to think and communicate, and so on, covering every aspect of life. The overall result is that we have a chart calculated around a fixed point in time, which is unique to an individual. It contains a message of potential, and the planets symbolize the energies we will use. The signs symbolize how we will use them, and the houses indicate how they impact into everyday life. I mean, so they breaking it down. They making it real plain right here. That's why I love this book. That's why, man, this must be like the shit. This must be about the 5th time I read this book. You know what I'm saying? I had to share this with y'all. Add to this the aspects between planets, and we have a mass of useful information, providing that it is interpreted the right way. 1 minute. Add to this the aspects between planets, and we have a mass of useful information, providing that it is interpreted the right way. You know what I'm saying? You could use this in so many different ways. Like, once you really understand this, you're actually gonna know shit, man. It makes your manifesting abilities much more. You know what I'm saying? You're sharpening the blade. You're sharpening the blade. Not only could you like pick the planetary, not only will you know your strengths and weaknesses, you know what I'm saying, and the best times that you want to do certain exercises or manifestations, but you can actually choose when to bring a life into this planet with a specific purpose, the same way our ancestors did. You know what I'm saying? If you need doctors, or if you need teachers, or if you need warriors, you know what I'm saying, the ancestors knew how to do that. They knew how to they knew what they were gonna be, what type of life they would be manifesting when they conceived a child through this system right here. This is all our shit. Modern technology does have its place in astrology. Calculators and computers have endless hours of tedious calculation and remove the possibility of human error. What the computer cannot do is interpret the chart fully. The computer can't feel. The computer is not connected. That's why they're trying to make this quantum computer. Granted, there are some very clever programs that provide lots of stylized information. However, there is no substitute for understanding and intuition. Computers are not aware, nor do they have a sixth sense. They are machines. I am not saying that every astrologer should be a clairvoyant. Far from it. What I am saying is that the human mind can often make deductions that are not based on pure logic. The reason for this is that since a birth chart is symbolic, it is likely to act as any symbol will, bringing facts out of a person's subconscious mind, which are likely to remain unnoticed otherwise. Symbolism is a powerful tool, and it is perfectly embodied in a correctly drawn birth chart. Looking at some of the less obvious uses of astrology with particular reference to magical work, we see that the birth chart is the starting point for many important discoveries. The first step in producing an accurate chart is that of calculation. Here we may run into a problem. Have we got accurate birth data? In other words, date, place, and time, or not? In order to calculate an accurate chart, an astrologer must know that the birth data is correct, especially the time of birth. This is where most mistakes are made. So often, the astrologer is presented with times of birth that are, to say the least, suspect. Far better to give the astrologer the facts. If you are not absolutely certain of your time of birth, then say so. It is not sufficient to presume a time of birth. It has to be known exactly if you want accurate information. It is better not to give an exact time of birth if you are not certain. Say instead, I was led to believe that I was born between, say, 9 and 10 in the morning, or evening, or late in the afternoon. This way, the astrologer will not make the mistake of presuming that the birth time is in fact true and accurate. Astrology is a science, and as such, it uses scientific methods. Chart calculation relies on mathematics, which take into account the movement of the planets, the rotation of the earth, and how these relate to the place of birth. In short, the birth chart is a map of the heavens as viewed from the place of birth at the time of birth. If the time is wrong, then the map or view of the heavens is also wrong. Often a few minutes can make a profound difference to the chart. Having established the accuracy of the birth data, we now have to calculate the chart. The procedure is quite simple, but does need some patience and practice. Often the task is made more difficult because of badly written books, which fail to explain the technique in a plain common sense manner. The availability of calculators and computers have made this task far easier, but you do not have to calculate your birth chart. You can order it from a service company for a few dollars. For those of limited means who need to calculate the old way, I recommend The Modern Textbook of Astrology by Margaret Hone. So that book will help us get our shit together. The Modern Textbook of Astrology. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it's still in print. If not, I'm sure we can find a PDF somewhere. It is a little dated, but it is one of the best. There are many choices of chart type. I use only equal house for the simple reason that it works when the others do not. Equal house has constantly proved its validity, and unlike Placidian charts, does give a much more usable visual picture. In any case, Placidian charts are of little value in the northern latitudes, and it is surprising that these are still used in textbooks. Having calculated a chart, we must now interpret this. There is only one valid technique, and that is to learn the nature of each planet, sign, and house, rather than try to read these from a book. Only when these are learned and understood is the birth chart likely to reveal realistic information. Again, this takes time, but it is well worth the effort. The combination of planetary positions in sign and house, together with aspects, chart shaping, and other factors, give masses of information to the skilled astrologer. This information can be translated into useful advice as to potential programs that are likely to occur. Okay, so this information can be translated into useful advice as to potential problems that are likely to occur. It is also possible to project into the future by studying the changes caused by various factors such as transits and progressions. Transits are perhaps the most useful guide because they use the actual movements of the planets in relationship to the birth chart, as opposed to the more symbolic system of progressions. Astrology has a great part to play in the future of humankind, especially when it is linked to medicine, psychology, and science. Being an integral part of the science of magic, astrology has much to offer the serious student. In fact, without some knowledge of basic astrology, magic tends to become an incoherent mass of superstition. Energy exists and can be classified, categorized, and codified by using astrological principles. I remember I used to drive Uber, and one time this dude, I pulled up to this mansion. This dude called me. It was a Friday night. He was going on a date. He was going on a date with some chick. So I picked the chick up first, and then she was like, "Okay, we got to go pick up somebody else." So we went to go pick them up, and we pulled up in front of a mansion. While we're waiting in front, fucking police pull up on me and was like, hey, what are you doing? Yo, fucking, you already know security in these type of areas. So he pulled up, and then the guy comes out, he's like, oh no, it's the Uber or whatever. Boom. So we go about our business. As soon as he gets in the back seat, homeboy starts fucking crying, bitching and moaning, complaining and shit, talking about how now obviously the dude is a millionaire or he got big money from where he came out of, you know what I'm saying? And it sounded like this chick, he wasn't really that into this chick. I don't know if he was married or something, but anyway, you could tell he was moneyed up. And he was just like fucking crying and complaining. He's such a white crybaby. And he stopped in the middle of his whining and he said, well, I believe that all of this is happening. He was talking about his business and his corporation and just everything that he touched, and his mother, and everything that he touched was turning to shit. So he blamed it on something was in retrograde. Oh, I think it's because something or other is in retrograde. So I'm like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So these individuals, you know what I'm saying, these industry mavericks, you know what I'm saying, and even you know, shit, man, I watched the lecture by Blue Pill. He mentioned how Nancy Reagan, the Reagans, the Bushes, all these individuals, they don't make a move before they check with their astrologists. They don't make a move. Even when you look at all of the false flags and all of these, you know, psyops and all of these things that we're able to look in the news, the whole way we're able to decode them is by actually looking at these concepts right here, astrological concepts. Whenever you see something on the news, you know what I'm saying, or you see some new announcement going on, just pay attention to the day, the dates of these announcements. Pay attention to the astrological happenings, you know what I'm saying, at the time of these announcements and these news reports, and it paints a whole nother picture. A whole different picture, is because the world that we see is dictated by a world that we can't see. Because remember that dark energy and dark matter make up about 95% of this universe. And 95, that's the 95% of this universe that we can't even see. So there are energies and things that are taking place all around us that we can't see, but it's affecting that which we can see. So through these, applying these astrological principles, you can actually manipulate what you don't see to affect what you can see. I hope that made it plain. In theory, you can make anything work up to a point, but it is far better to adapt a scientific approach that will reveal the truth and thereby give access to further use of power. So that's what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? Astrology is just one more scientific approach to manipulation of matter, or that which we call magic. Astrology offers such a system. It should be understood that it is not necessary for every would-be student to undertake a complete study of astrology. This is likely to be wasted effort. What is necessary is a knowledge of the nature of the planets, signs, and houses in order to learn how energies apply themselves. A fair analogy would be the difference between a man who owns and drives a car as opposed to the man who can service it himself. Obviously, the latter is going to save time and money, understands his vehicle better, and probably sees faults developing before they become serious. So it is with magic. A working knowledge of astrology helps you understand yourself and your relationship to the vast potential available as cosmic energy. I'm saying? So they refer to cosmic energy as vast potential, available vast potential, because out of darkness could come anything. Anything could come out of the darkness. Light comes out of darkness. You know what I'm saying? So if light comes out of darkness, light is all that we see, all that we can see and touch. You know what I'm saying? And that comes out of the darkness. So the darkness is, in other words, or dark energy and dark matter combined is vast potential. It's cosmic energy. You know what I'm saying? So this astrology helps you get in touch with that. This astrology, the tarot. I'm saying, because when you're looking at the tarot, you're reading archetypes of these different energies, which are all different cosmic energies, which are all different psychic energies. Same thing. You know what I'm saying? We are walking vast potential, or walking potential, walking chaos. Some of us anyway. Esoteric astrology can help in many ways, especially from a practical point of view. By examining the birth chart, it is possible to discover which planet or combination of planet rules, and I use that word loosely, certain areas of your life. In short, if you wish to know which planet governs income, health, or career, this is quite easy to discover. I've also ran into a lot of people, quite a lot of people who actually, shit, man, it's like they allow the zodiac and astrology, these energies, they kind of make it like a prison for themselves. It's like they're saying, oh, my sign says this, or my birth chart says that, or this says that, so I can't do this, or I can't do that because it says so right there. It says so in the charts. It says so in the stars, or I can't do that at this time because, like, a few paragraphs ago, it said the stars are not a compulsion. They don't compel. They don't make things happen. They are just an inclination, like a head nod, like, well, we knew this. It doesn't mean that it's gonna happen. You are the ultimate creator. You attract and repel. You are the generator, operator, and destroyer, like C. Freeman L. says. You are the God. I'm saying, so what you says goes. You know what I'm saying? These energies and such are just tools that you can use. They're indicators. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a dashboard. You know what I'm saying? And you know how to read the dashboard. Same thing. The dashboard is a tool. You know what I'm saying? But the dashboard doesn't dictate your ability to drive. These personal ruling planets are a boon because they show clearly which planet to use in any given situation. A common mistake is that of presuming that, for example, Jupiter rules wealth. The matter is a little more complex. Jupiter energy indeed rules wealth potential, but there are two approaches to be considered. First, we must consider the movement of this planet in the heavens and how and when it forms aspects to planets in the birth chart. At these special times, Jupiter energy is applying and therefore usable. However, much depends on which planet in the birth chart is being aspected as to the outcome. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. If we take a typical aspect of Jupiter to Mars in a person's birth chart, this will not necessarily produce wealth. The first consideration is the nature of the planets forming the aspect. Jupiter equates to expansion and Mars to energy. The result, lots of energy. So knowing what we just said, okay, when you look at the aspect of Jupiter or Mars, it equates to lots of energy. But your goal is money manifestation, right? But your aspect says lots of energy. How would you use that energy? Reading the dashboard, how would you use that for your desired results? It would therefore be nonsense to presume that Jupiter energy bestows wealth all by itself. Also of equal importance is the impact point or planet in the birth chart. This is where the personal ruling planets come into the picture. By knowing which planet rules wealth in your birth chart, and by knowing when planetary energies are applying to this, you are then in a unique position to use this power to your advantage. And likewise with all other personal ruling planets. The net result is to take magic out of the dark ages and bring it into the 20th century at least. And this is what we call the new eon. The new eon that Aleister Crowley spoke of, that brother Bobby Hemmett spoke of. You know what I'm saying? The new eon, when even the new eon or Neo that the movie The Matrix was speaking of. You know what I'm saying? The merging of spirituality and science, which is what the fourth fold of the brain is talking about. The neocortex, which is the newest portion of the brain, that's actually its main purpose. You know what I'm saying? No, the brain will no longer be divided into two hemispheres. It seems as though this neocortex is growing. The brain is evolving, and it looks like it's going to cover the entire brain. It's going to be the fourth fold of the brain and covering the entire brain and making the left and right hemisphere of the brain, which is the logic and creative or spiritual and analytical aspect of the brain, making it one, like Neo was able to do in the movie. Science takes over from superstition, and there is no need to use hit or miss principles such as praying to non-existent gods. Use the planetary forces instead. Surely this makes sense. Now, if this sounds complicated to put into practice, let me assure you that it is not. Do remember that any ritual performed with dedication and confidence will work. However, if you know when a planetary aspect is actually being formed, these periods will most certainly lend weight to your efforts, because you will be in tune with what is actually happening as decreed by the cosmic tides. See, paying attention to the cosmic tides, you're able to pay attention to your own neuromelanin tides. You're able to pay attention with what's going on in your head. You know what I'm saying? In your brain, with your DNA. The only way to know when these tides are formed is to have someone prepare an aspectarian showing when planetary transits are aspecting your natal planets. The alternative is to learn how to do this yourself. That's my aid. That's how I do it. And I'm saying I gotta know how this shit works myself. I got to. I gotta take it apart and go. That's why I'm helping y'all. That's why we doing this. And I'm saying, because once we get through this, then we gonna take it a step further and a step further and a step further. And I'm saying, because I gotta know how the shit works. And I'm saying, every component, I gotta know how to do it for myself. I'm not happy hiring a personal trainer. You know what I'm saying? It's just gonna tell me how to work out to get the results. I need to know the system of working out to how to look how I want to look. I don't want you to tell me how to do it. I'm going to figure out how to do it. You know what I'm saying? And through trial and error, I'm going to figure out what works best for me. That's just me. I'm a leader. You know what I'm saying? That's not normal. You know what I'm saying? That's not normal. It's sad, but You know what I'm saying? It's easier to follow than to lead. You know what I'm saying? The leader has to take accountability. When shit goes wrong, the leader got to stand up and say, yo, it's my fault. I fucked up. I wear that. A lot of people they're not willing to do that. So they just want to follow. Because when shit goes wrong, you can point your finger and say, I was just following him or her. Any good book on astrology will help you do this. So any good book on, and he just referred a good book a few paragraphs ago. So any good astrology book will help you, learn how to do this on your own. And then there's a chart. We're not going to look at the chart. Download the PDF. You can view the chart. Let us look at a purely practical consideration. It is a well-known fact that when a problem occurs, it is usually too late to do anything about it. This is because the appropriate planetary energy has arrived, has been interpreted by the subconscious mind, and is now a physical fact. Whoa. Whoa. Let us look at a purely practical consideration. It is a well-known fact that when a problem occurs, it is usually too late to do anything about it. This is because the appropriate planetary energy has arrived, has been interpreted by the subconscious mind, and is now a physical fact. Because the subconscious mind is the abyss. You know what I'm saying? The subconscious mind is symbolic of water. And we all know how the planets and the moon and the stars have an effect on the water, on the ocean. See, when you're looking at the ocean, you're looking at a correspondence of your subconscious mind, of your psyche. Yo, you ever went to the ocean in the middle of the, like at nighttime? Did you ever look at the ocean at nighttime and see all that vast blackness? And you're like, yo, oh man, it makes you feel like this big. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're in a boat. Yo, I used to go surfing. I used to go out there like 5 in the morning before the sun come up. And you way out there, man. And you gotta put, man, it be all kinds of shit going through your mind. You be thinking about like, yo, what's underneath me? Like, is Leviathan underneath me? Is Cthulhu under there? If a shark bites my surfboard in half, yo, and you just gotta put all that shit out of your head, because, man, it's a real humbling experience. But you know, that's symbolic of your subconscious mind. You know what I'm saying? If the moon has an effect on the tides, then the moon has an effect on your subconscious tide as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they saying here. The subconscious mind is affected by planetary energy. The best one can hope for is to attempt to clear up the mess. That's when you're not in tune. That's when you're not in tune with yourself. That's when you're not in tune with the astrological aspects. You know what I'm saying? When you're not in tune with you know what I'm saying, the major arcana, and knowing that you're the minor arcana, and how to assess, interpret all these energies, and how to, use them to your benefit, then all you could do is, hope for the best to clear up the mess. How much better it would be if we could see when problems are likely to occur before they can happen. A lot of us, we could even feel it. You know what I'm saying? We feel it. I'm saying, because we are made up of, they say 75% water. You know what I'm saying? Thing is to learn to trust your instinct. Learn to trust your primal instinct. Learn to trust your intuition. Primal instinct, primal waters. An aspectarian gives you this information well in advance. Again, suppose you wish to improve your finances by magical means. The aspectarian tells you exactly the best time to work. Aspectarians are particularly useful to those involved in Kabbalistic workings. Rather than adopt the normally accepted technique of working paths and spheres, now, the Kabbalistic tree of life is also, it can be used the same way we use the cross of the four elements. It's another tool, but it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? All the different combinations that you could come up with for the elements in the cross of the four elements is the same way you could come up with the same many different combinations of the elements in the Kabbalistic tree of life. You know what I'm saying? It's just which one calls you, which one do you work better with? You know what I'm saying? Personally speaking, I work better with the cross of the four elements. All right, so rather than adopt the normally accepted technique of working paths and spheres according to random choice, they're talking about the Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic tree of life now with the spheres, the Sephiroths, or the slightly better method of gradually working up and down the symbol of the tree of life. The aspectarian indicates exactly when a sphere or path may be worked to its best effect. The net result is one of more contact because the natural tides are being utilized in the best possible way. Natural planetary directions. Each planet has a natural affinity with an element and therefore has a natural magical direction within the magic circle. In dealing with cosmic energies of the planets as they exist in their own right, it is better to use the directions dictated by the planet's natural affinity. Okay, it says see table 2. So they have a chart below that you can view. All right. For example, should you wish to do a working involving the sun, you would use the principal element given, concentrating and using the prime magical direction of south, because south is fire. In brief, this would consist of opening the magic circle and allowing a golden light to enter the temple, starting at magical south and continuing in a clockwise direction back to south. Here are some useful attributes you can work out yourself that relate to your personal magical directions. Each personal ruling planet has an affinity with one of the four elements. These can easily be worked out from your birth chart. Each zodiac sign is ruled by one of the four elements. In this chapter, you will find certain lists that come under the heading of one of the four elements. In these lists, you will find all 10 planets in each of the four elements. Simply circle the appropriate planets which fall under the rulership of each element. If you do not wish to write in the book, then make this list on a separate sheet of paper. And as we know, each of the Sephiroths represent a planet in the Kabbalistic tree of life. And they gave you an example how to work with these planets subconsciously. They gave you an example of using the sun coming in at the south gate and entering the sacred circle or the protected circle. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you could program your subconscious to work with these planetary directions. Discovering your personal magical direction. I will show you how to, hold on. All right. Discovering your personal magical direction. I will show you how to find your personal magical direction. We will use an example chart so you can see how this works. Starting with the first house, Aries. In the birth chart, you will study each house in, starting with the first house, Aries, in the birth chart. You will study each house in turn until you have covered the whole chart from Aries through all 12 signs of Pisces. So to begin, find Aries in our example chart and see if there are any planets in this sign or house. If there are any planets in fire, then they will all manifest through the south and the element of fire, by virtue of the fact that Aries is a fire sign. This always dictates which direction you should work. In our example birth chart, Taurus has Mars in its house. Taurus is an earth sign, and by virtue of this, Mars would manifest through the north instead of the south. Okay? Because north is the earth, or the direction of the earth, or the green direction on the in the cross of the four elements. All right. Looking at the example birth chart, find Cancer. In this house, there are 3 planets: the moon, Jupiter, and Uranus. All of these planets would manifest through the west. Therefore, the magical direction to work would be west and the element of water. Okay. I hope you can see the pattern here. When you have worked through each house in the example chart, do your own. All right. So the chart is included in this book as well. Obviously, if you have ordered your chart calculations from an astrological service, you will know where the houses and planets are placed based on your time of birth. If you decide to enter them into the blank chart, which comes with this book, you will get a different, so you can actually print out the chart in this book or in this PDF and get to work. You will get a different kind of energy from learning this way. And you will know the personal direction for each of your planets. You know what I'm saying? Personally getting acquainted with anything that has to do with you. You know what I'm saying? It, like we always say, you only get out what you put in. I'm saying, so you can have someone else to do it for you. You could pay someone else to do it for you, but what are you really getting out? You know I'm saying, how are those results going to work? All right. So, and now we go on. We have numerous. We have an example. Okay. Let me go ahead and share this with y'all. Boom. All right. So we have an example of a birth chart here. I'm saying 12 for the 12 houses. I'm saying it may look confusing. I'm saying all these different signs, but it isn't. The more you acquaint yourself to this and make this a habit, I'm saying, the more all these symbols will start to make the most sense. And you can actually see the cross of 4 elements in this diagram here. I'm saying the cross of 4 elements: north, which is the dark father, dark mother. This is the south gate here. I'm saying? The Eastern Gate and the Western Gate. I mean, so fire. No. Fuck. The sword, air, fire, fire, water, earth. All right. And then they go on to explain the symbols that we may see. Okay, so as you see air, that's the symbol for air, magical direction, east, saying they give you all the information here so you can actually get to it and do your own chart. They actually provide a blank chart for you to get busy, which, as you see, is right here. You'll be able to do your own birth chart if you follow the instructions, which we might do one on the whiteboard in the near future. We might do one together. All right. Let's get back to it. The personal planetary directions I have just shown you are very important because they are taken from your birth chart, which is nothing less than a map or plan of your inner potential and abilities. These directions are to be used when attuning the magical circle and inner temple in a personal sense and for any magical workings involving you. It is suggested that before you make use of these in the manner described, you should take time to become fully conversant with them. Always remember that these correspondences are only suggestions. They are not hard and fast rules unless you believe them to be. Suppose that you were performing a ritual or doing magical work concerning yourself. You would open the magical circle and use the inner temple. However, the prime magical direction would be changed from the natural to the personal. For instance, if a person had Venus ruled by the element of fire and the magical rod, then the natural magical direction of north would be replaced by south. You know what I'm saying? Because we're saying that in this instance, Venus is ruled by the element of fire. Okay, so in this instance, if Venus is ruled by the element of fire and the magical rod, then we would use the natural direction, the magical direction of south. You know what I'm saying? There are two important points to emerge. First, there is a natural linkage between a planet and its magical direction. For example, Venus, which is the shield, magical, north. You know what I'm saying? Venus, feminine, you know what I'm saying? It would be the shield. You know what I'm saying? Its natural direction would be north. You know what I'm saying? Looking at the chart that when we had above that named all the planets and what quadruplicities and triplicities, going by that chart, we would see what Venus is, you know what I'm saying, aligned with magical north, but it is ruled by fire in this instant. So we would be working with the south gate, which is the gate of fire. You know what I'm saying? For this magical ritual, if you were to, just giving you an example. All right. This, of course, relates to the natural mode of power. The magical shield is the control symbol for Venus, using a normal magical working. Second, each weapon and direction also has a secondary rulership, which is determined by the planetary positions in your birth chart, as I have shown you. Some further examples will serve to demonstrate how these are ruled. Let us suppose that your magical rod is given as ruling the planet Venus. This means that from a personal point of view, Venus should be sought at the magical direction of south, rather than at the traditional normal direction of north. Naturally, the magical rod will replace the shield as control symbol. Such a working would consist of a temple opening around the personal magical direction. In case of confusion, the rule is for general workings, use the normal magical direction together with its appropriate control symbol. For personal workings, use the personal magical direction with its appropriate control symbol. I hope that was pretty simple. It can't be made much more simple than that. You know what I'm saying? So that is moment. So that is how you can actually use astrology, the planets and the planetary symbols, to scientifically make your magic stronger. All right, and so we're reading from The Magician. You know what I'm saying? The book is called The Magician, and this is a introductory, okay, to astrology and how you're able to use these energies, okay, to access your subconscious mind. You know what I'm saying? And use these energies subconsciously to create your reality, to create whatever it is that you want to create. You know what I'm saying? So I see we have a few questions, you know what I'm saying, in the comment section. So we're going to revisit this, and we're going to actually do a natal birth chart. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make an example, and we're going to do it on a whiteboard. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to help y'all. I'm going to walk y'all through that. We're going to do a video on that. So, you know what I'm saying, I want to thank y'all niggas for tuning in to Abode of Sun Moon, Bruva Bridge, Wunk.